You ever notice how the strangest discoveries are almost never made by experts? They're made by someone who couldn't sleep, someone who was supposed to be doing homework, working, paying bills, or, let's be honest, watching cat videos. Instead, they opened Google Earth. They started dragging their mouse across places they'd never visited. A mountain in Kazakhstan, an island in the middle of nowhere, a stretch of desert so empty it looked forgotten by time itself. No plan, no destination, just curiosity. And that's the dangerous thing about curiosity. It doesn't always reward you with answers. Sometimes it rewards you with questions you can't stop thinking about. Because Google Earth isn't just a map, it's a photograph stitched together over decades, a digital scrapbook of our planet. Most people use it to find restaurants. A much smaller group use it for something else. They hunt, not for treasure, for anomalies, for things that shouldn't be there. And every once in a while, they find something so strange, the entire internet stops, leans a little closer to the screen, and asks the same exact question: what am I looking at? Today we're following one of those rabbit holes. Some ended with perfectly reasonable explanations. Others, well, I'll let you decide. I'm Nikki, and welcome back to Nightly Haven, where sometimes the creepiest stories aren't hidden in haunted houses. They're hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone to zoom in. Your brain realizes strange things can appear on satellite imagery, you start noticing them everywhere. It's like buying a red car and suddenly every other car on the road is red, except instead of cars, you're finding impossible shapes carved into continents. And once that switch flips, there's no turning it off. That obsession eventually led thousands of amateur investigators somewhere no one expected, the coast of Namibia. If you never looked at it from space, it almost doesn't look real. Miles and miles of empty coastline, golden sand, dark Atlantic waters, beautiful until you notice. The ships, not one, not two, dozens. Some are half buried, some are tilted at impossible angles, others appear to have simply stopped, frozen where they died. From orbit, they each look like forgotten toys scattered along the beach. But once each has a story, storms, navigation errors, mechanical failures, the skeleton coast has claimed ships for centuries. The cold Benguela current collides with dense fog rolling in from the Atlantic. Captains couldn't see land until it was too late. Imagine surviving a shipwreck, finally crawling onto solid ground, only to discover you landed in one of the harshest deserts on Earth. No fresh water, almost no food, miles from civilization. History tells us many sailors escaped the sea, only to lose their lives trying to cross the desert. Honestly, that's almost cruel. It's like the ocean hands you back to Earth and simply says, good luck. Satellite images don't show these stories, they just show rusting skeletons. Tiny reminders that sometimes nature doesn't need ghosts to be terrifying. And I'm sorry if it's really loud, my neighbors are running their four-wheeler. People love to say Google Earth lets us see everything. It doesn't. It let us see enough to realize how much we still don't understand. And maybe that's the unsettling part. Not the strange images, not the mysterious coordinates, but the realization that somewhere on this planet there are still discoveries waiting, not buried beneath thousands of feet of rock, not locked inside ancient temples, just sitting there, waiting for the right person to notice them. The strange thing about the internet is that it has an incredible memory. Someone notices something odd, they post a screenshot, a few people laugh, a few people investigate, and before long, thousands of strangers from every corner of the world are staring at the exact same image, trying to solve a mystery together. Sometimes they succeed, sometimes they accidentally create an even bigger mystery. That brings us to one of the strangest discoveries Google Earth has ever helped make. Not because it looked supernatural, but because no one could figure it out. Who put it there? Deep inside the Australian Outback, where the nearest town is a little more than a handful of buildings surrounding by endless red earth. Satellite captured something enormous, a giant figure carved in the desert floor, stretching nearly 2.5 miles from head to toe, known today as the Marree Man. At first glance, it almost looks like something from an ancient civilization, a hunter holding what appears to be a spear or throwing stick, perfectly proportioned, visible only from the sky, which immediately raised the question, how? Because whoever created it didn't have Google Earth. They didn't have drones, yet somehow they designed an image so massive it only truly makes sense from above. When pilots first spotted it in 1998, they thought they were seeing things. Something even circled back for another pass. The figure was unmistakable, fresh, crisp, as though it appeared overnight, and that's exactly what made people uneasy. There was no tire tracks leading in, no heavy machinery sitting nearby, no workers, no witnesses, just a giant man etched into one of the most isolated landscapes on Earth. Now, before anyone starts packing tinfoil hats, there are reasonable theories. Some believe it was created using GPS equipment and surveying tools. Others think it was the work of an unknown artist determined to remain anonymous. There have been names floated over the years, but no one has definitely identified as the creator. Think about that for a second. Something nearly 2.5 miles long, created in broad daylight without anyone seeing who did it. That's impressive. Honestly, I can't even hang a picture frame without someone asking what I'm doing. Yet someone quietly drew a giant man across the Australian desert and simply walked away. The mystery became part of the artwork itself, because sometimes what fascinates us isn't the object, it's the missing story behind it. As internet detectives became better at spotting unusual shapes, they started paying closer attention to water, lakes, rivers, coastlines, because water has a funny habit of revealing things and then hiding them again. One discovery in particular left people scratching their heads for years. Off the coast of Bahrain, satellite images revealed hundreds of perfectly spaced circles beneath the shallow sea. From above, they look almost artificial, like someone had carefully arranged giant stones beneath the water. Online theories appeared almost instantly. Ancient foundations, lost cities, alien landing markers, because apparently aliens have exceptional landscaping skills. Reality turned out to be just as fascinating. These weren't ancient ruins, they were the remains of an old pearl diving site. Long before oil transformed Bahrain, an economy revolved around pearls. Divers spent generations searching these waters, leaving behind subtle patterns still visible above decades later. It's a reminder that not every mystery is supernatural. Sometimes it's just history, quietly waiting beneath the surface until technology accidentally rediscovers it. And honestly, there's something really beautiful about that. Imagine living your entire life never knowing the work of generations would one day seen from space. Of course, not every discovery leaves people feeling inspired. Some leave people feeling watched. There are countless stories online from people casually exploring Street View, only to stumble across something that made them close the app immediately. A lone figure standing in an empty road, someone wearing an unsettling costume, an abandoned playground with no signs of life. Now, it's important to remember, Google's camera cars photograph thousands of miles every single day. Statistically, they're bound to capture odd moments, but statistics don't make an image feel less creepy, especially when you're looking at it alone. One of the strangest examples came from a quiet rural road in Japan. The camera repeatedly captured life-size dolls, dozens of them, carefully positioned throughout an otherwise empty village, standing at a bus stop, looking out windows, sitting on benches. For years, people online believed they stumbled into some horrifying secret. The reality was heartbreaking. The village has slowly lost its population, and artists who lived there began creating dolls to represent former residents, each one standing where someone once worked, waited, or lived. What looked terrifying from a satellite map became something unexpectedly human. And maybe that's one of the biggest lessons hidden inside Google Earth. Not every unsettling image hides a monster. Sometimes it hides loneliness. Sometimes the truth is sadder than the mystery. Still, every so often, the internet finds something that nobody can explain immediately. And those are the discoveries that keep people searching, because somewhere right now, someone is scrolling across a remote mountain range. Someone else is zooming into an uninhabited island. Another person is following an old river just to see where it ends. Most of them will find nothing. A few will find something extraordinary. And maybe that's why these rabbit holes never really end. Not because we're looking for aliens or secret bases or impossible structures. We're looking for proof that this world can still surprise us. That despite all our maps, all our satellites, all our technology, there are still corners of this planet capable of making us stop, lean a little closer, and whisper, "What is that?" Maybe that's the real dark side of the Google Earth. Not that it reveals terrifying things, but that it reminds us how much there is left to discover. And honestly, I hope that never changes, because the day we think we found everything is the day we stop looking. If you enjoyed tonight's journey down another rabbit hole, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with someone who loves a good mystery. Until next time, keep looking closer. You never know what might be hiding in plain sight. Have a good night, guys. Bye.